Welcome everyone. I'll be discussing about my personal Lucario buffs I desire in this video, though I do not express my aspirations for these changes just because I think they would be great and that it's my opinion. No. This is going to be an in-depth video explaining the whys and the what fors. Before starting, I'm reminding you all that Lucario is a character that thrives on good mentality. The determination to never give up means your mindset is rewarded for properly utilizing Aura, since it is a comeback factor. Nowadays, some characters have something similar, but Aura builds and grows. It teaches players in the community to never count Lucario out until the match says GAME! The system I'm going to maintain while explaining about suggestions for Lucario's moveset will have categories to describe my intentions. These categories include optional, appreciated, and recommended. Optional choices are just there. They aren't the main focus, but more so an add-on, a side dessert to your meal. They have the least priority and focus, but at least they'd attempt to be helpful. Appreciative choices are about changes that would give impact to a move, but not in the most direct way, nor are they the most dire, though they do have a better amount of focus to the design. And finally, recommended choices will create the highest impact and the strongest result in regulating the move's intentions. However, some listings might be a hybrid or alternate between two categories, which means I'm mixed about their inclusion in ranking them. And just because I list off several choices for one move doesn't mean I want all of the above. Heck, only one buff from this entire video could hypothetically happen, and I would be okay with that. And I just want to mention one last thing, but this video doesn't address any suggestions that would change Lucario's attributes. So, things like the weight, the scaling of Aura, or the hurtbox namely being its tail. I'm not gonna mention or discuss any of these matters. So, I'll only talk about the attacks in the moveset. Well, if nothing else, I would say that is enough, right? So, it's time. Jab 1 is a slow yet trustworthy melee attack possessing hitboxes for the chest, arm, and paw. On top of having helpful applications, Jab 1 links into a full combo consistently no matter what or how any hitbox connects. The paw hitbox brings the opponent inward, closer to Lucario, which is neat for options to follow with like grab as well as force palm grab. Of course, the attack has jab block applications for a forward opponent who mistechs after moves like forward throw, back throw, down air, and neutral air. Following up after so, you can wait a bit longer to hit with jab on frame 8 for extra frame advantage to execute finishers better like forward smash and up smash. And to note real quick, Lucario at 0% aura can jab combo and be plus on hit against all weight archetypes, even super heavies like Bowser. So why? What makes me think that jab requires this kind of change? Lucario's jab functions perfectly fine, which says a lot considering that some jabs don't. But this move primarily needs a focus on frame reduction for the startup, though end lag reduction would also be appreciated alongside it, so that this move essentially is just sped up. With these suggestions, Lucario would improve vastly just from the fact that you'd have a faster grounded get off me option, because as it is right now, the majority have a frame 2 to 5 jab, and the minority having a frame 1 or 6+ jab. Did you know that out of all the Pokemon fighters in Smash, Lucario and Ivysaur tie for having the slowest jab 1 startup? Furthermore, Lucario's startup frame data ties with Bowser, Ganondorf, Ivysaur, and Mega Man. There's only 5 other characters that are slower than frame 7, and frankly, that's not okay. But the point is, Lucario can play mid-range, sort of like Ivysaur and Mega Man, but Lucario also excels at playing defensively in close quarters combat. Having the current jab 1 frame data doesn't match up. and it's also very similar to Super Heavies and Zoners right now. And that's a shame, really. Unlike Jab 1, Jab 2 and 3 are fine without changes, since Jab 2 can lock just as effectively, and Jab 3 is basically a grounded forward air. My only suggestion for Jab 2 would be the transition frame to be sped up by 1, allowing Lucario to reliably jab combo Shulk and Shield Art.
What?
If you couldn't tell from that, this is purely optional. I could care less if this never happens, but it would be appreciated if done. Ultimately, Lucario's jabs as well as the combo itself actually functions, which says a lot. It's just not amazing. Doing what it needs to do, Dash Attack can serve as a burst option, a combo finisher, and it can also cross up shield. To do so, you have to be very close before you'd hit with the lower leg during the startup. This is so that you pass through their hurt box while shielding. However, noting Dash Attack's ability to cross up shield on any character eventually becomes unreliable, which is all thanks to Aura. Because of Aura's scaling, Lucario loses this trait. Several variables to explain that could be things like hit lag, base damage, retreating shield DI, and the character who defends. The ranges differ throughout the cast, possibly due to their shield size and maybe their hurt box too, but nothing truly benefits Dash Attack crossing up an opponent easier, except for if they shield DI toward the move, or that you stale the move enough on block, which is necessary. At the lower stages of Aura, angling shield won't matter in contesting cross-ups most of the time. However, the higher Aura grows is what makes the counterplay more problematic. The bubble shield size shrinking doesn't help Lucario cross up either, as far as anyone's aware. So, all you can really do is know your Aura and the hindrance it brings to the move's ability to cross up shield. The range for Pichu you see is how Aura affects this move, essentially. Pichu is one of the smallest characters and also possesses one of the smallest shield sizes in the game, which is why the range is so huge, whereas most medium-sized shields or larger could cease being crossed up once Lucario reaches somewhere in the 70s or the 80s. Other than that, it's primarily used as a finisher at lower percents after neutral air, down tilt, or to punish landings from a distance. Not only that, but the sour leg during the early phase can hit characters snapping to ledge. What makes the attack so lackluster in Lucario's kit, though, is that it fails to be a strong kill option. to be a move that's not heavily advantageous on hit with a low stage of aura, and the fact that it is the only other move that gives Lucario the chance to punish mid-close opportunities than besides dash grabbing, which is also a poor option. And lastly, Lucario's velocity while moving isn't swift for being a burst option, so the character will struggle to actually intercept someone from afar. All of these former setbacks could be remedied with in-lag reduction alone, because the move would provide a newfound amount of utility at lower aura stages before reaching base power. The reduction would allow linking the move into forward air pyramid combos upon hitting somewhere within the late phase, as an example. And while increasing the late window's activity would be helpful, it's not as impactful in comparison. Thus, it's not as necessary, yet it would be appreciated nonetheless. Forward tilt is this gracious grounded tool that can be angled up or down for plenty of applications and usage. The hitbox for hit 1 is active for 3 frames, and hit 2 lasts for 2 frames. The reason I'd suggest an activity extension of 1 is nothing important. After all, this is an optional change, so I could care less if this move ever gets addressed in future patches. Any reasoning given wouldn't normally be valid nor serious. However, the most helpful reasoning to support this suggestion is that when Lucario's at a high stage of aura, forward tilt hit 1 being parried by the defender will provide so much intangible frames for them that they'll phase through hit 2's activity completely. By the time they start shielding, forward tilt is already finished and going through end lag. To remedy this extremely rare occurrence, an activity extension by 1 would make parrying hit 1 still having to shield hit 2. But otherwise, this move is fine. It's great, actually. Like dash attack, up tilt does what it's needed for. What matters is the difference in hit stun between the leg and foot hitboxes. At low stages of aura to even base level, your frame 6 up tilt with the leg hitboxes creates a paper rock scissors face-off. The first up tilt into the second gets stuffed by faster frame data, demanding respect and now having to either shield or double team countering their attacks. Or shielding and reacting to jump or air dodge. But due to how safe aerials can be on block, you'd be playing out paper rock scissors situations with your grounded shield drop options. Even short hop down air out of shield, which is your fastest option, might not punish them. This all proves why the foot sweet spot is key, since it'll deal more gracious amounts of hit stun. It'll either be neutral on hit, or a little more plus while juggling at lower percents. Aerial hitboxes within the frame 1 to 7 range are generally going to out-frame data the second up tilt, so always be conscious of this and learn about them through your matchups. That all being said, the late hitbox in front improves juggling and can lead to options such as jab 1 into the combo, turn around up tilt, short hopping forward air, grab, force palm grab, or another late up tilt from the front. The best results come from the later frames being 12 or 13. Hitting on one of these frames promotes pyramid combos regardless if it was with the leg or foot hitbox. Most of the time, you will execute pyramid combos, but should you hit with the foot hitbox at higher percents, something grand can be done. Unfortunately, it's very rare in a match, and it's hard reacting to when following up with an up air finisher. But when it works, you feel like you just created the most spectacular moment. Up tilt's issues that hold it back from being amazing are its end lag and hitbox activity, which is baffling to say since they're quite small. And that's why I say at times that up tilt is so close to being amazing. With the suggestions on screen, up tilt would go from being this coin flip juggling tool to now an advantageous half moon scoop for better days. One frame in a fighting game can make all the difference. And these two minor suggestions would improve its reliability as a combo tool. As you can see, it starts off great at frame 6, finishing being a hitbox on frame 13. With the end lag reduction and activity extension each by 1, the first up tilt would consistently juggle into the second more often, no matter if it was early or late into the move. These changes wouldn't be too insane, and it would allow you to scoop someone low and in front of you. Just like it could from behind, thus making this move perfectly balanced. Accounting for Lucario's moveset entirely, up smash is one of those moves I personally find myself using very rarely. Surely though, it has usage for what it's for, that being as an anti-air option, and that it can also stuff the end lag of dodge options once intangibility would fade. Without any true setup into itself like say Aura Sphere Charge applications, it functions as a very hard read option to delete a stock with high aura on its own. And in comparison to other two-hitting up smashes that knock up with the first hit and then transition into the second hit launcher, that I'm of course showing now, Lucario's is one of, if not the most strongest in the game, once base level and beyond is achieved. While showing a ranking from low to high vertical launch power, we're going to eventually see that Lucario's is insane because of aura greatly scaling with smash attacks. But other than that, it's kind of a strange move once you analyze its frame data. First off, no hitbox activity on the 18th frame right as hit 1 ends and transitions into hit 2 is an oddity to have. From its animation, however, it could make sense. So that's kinda why I only list a hitbox activity increase for hit 1 as an optional change. Something more baffling to me though is how the late window of the second hit has 2 hitbox entries, and they both deal 9% base damage. This starts to be the case for frames 21, 22, and 23, but when you take a look at those frames, you'll see the sweet spot for frame 21 and how it retains the same radius as the former frames 19 and 20. Up smash's second hit undergoes 2 hitbox changes, which adds up as to why up smash is already underwhelming. So, the newly added suggestion is going to be increasing the late hit 2 sweet spot radius / size by 2.3, which bumps it up from being 6.5 to 8.8, so that it matches the early hit 2 sweet spot. This is so that Lucario's protected with enough hitbox coverage for the current and vulnerable aura eruption, as well as finally challenging aerials as a new and superior anti-air volcano. Up smash's hypothetical hitbox size increase and the longevity of the attack it already has would serve a better purpose than always having to give respect to moves you can't contest as Lucario. Of course, this is definitely an appreciative change, but could be seen as optional or even recommended, depending on who you ask. And yet, the early window of Hit 2, also having 2 hitbox entries, but they differ in that Lucario's body is a 12% sour spot, while the 14% sweet spot surrounds the paw during the volcanic aura eruption. Simply increasing the early sour damage to match the sweet would be graciously appreciated, because times you punish a grounded character for anything, say like spot dodging, that can result in the body's sour spot most of the time. And dealing this sour hitbox instead of the paw is extremely unfortunate when you consider that the massive kill power difference between the two is... oh my god. Most of all, a frame reduction to in lag will slightly reduce the taxation of commitment, because after all, to commit to a move that locks you into an animation for over a second sounds ridiculous, but when talking about smash attacks, it's plausible. But Lucario suffers 40 frames of in lag, and to take away from that, the only other similarly functioning up smash that can compete with Lucario's aura scaling kill power is Shulk when augmented by his smash art. But even with his up smash having blatant design flaws, and don't get me wrong or started on that, it's undeniably strong simply because it's constantly active for 16 whole frames. No sour spots exist in the Ether Blade's second hit either, so it's not held back by killing inconsistently. These traits, as well as other uses it has on the battlefield, justify why his is more than an entire second of commitment. Going back to Lucario's is just overtuned kill power with less presence, and even then, it's outclassed by the only smash attack you're going to use, which is forward smash. Being a dual-sided eruption of aura for its animation, down smash primarily excels at answering landing lag from an opponent's option trying to trick which side they'll land on around Lucario. The second most common answer is for someone who rolls around you and attempt to evade your lag and intercept with punishing you for it. Otherwise, it can be helpful for their ledge roll when you have that right ledge trap spacing in play. Ultimately, down smash doesn't need anything. It's simply a less powerful double-sided forward smash, and it's often overshadowed by the shotgun of aura that is forward smash. The only optional change is slightly increased hitbox activity for a little more presence. The only appreciative change I'd like to see for the attack is a hitbox size increase to the left paw in front of Lucario. Fun fact is, the right paw behind Lucario has a slightly further reach than the left paw in front. Learning this, down smash was probably designed in mind for catching roll options going behind you. But rather than just behind Lucario, a buff to the front range to match the back would slightly improve punishing someone rolling around Lucario overall, not just from behind. This part of the video features optional changes only. They pertain to moves having reduced ledge grab windows, such as Airdodge, Neutral Air, and Back Air. Airdodge would grab ledge 5 frames faster. Neutral Air would grab ledge 5 frames faster. And Back Air would grab ledge 3 frames faster. Lucario's up air is actually kind of disgusting. Unlike up tilt from a run, up air has a slower hitbox with jump squat startup in mind. Although, once you know that you're able to fast fall as early as the 22nd frame from short hop, you can perfectly short hop up air with fast fall to auto cancel and act on the 33rd frame after landing, which, by the way, is the same amount of commitment as your up tilt. Because Lucario has a high airspeed value as well, the Pokemon is able to dash and jump toward an area of space to force a frame trap upon someone who's trying to land. Once you know that up air can have the least commitment with the greater hitbox above Lucario, you'll realize that it's a much greater anti-air tool than both up tilt and up smash. And that's what makes short hopped up airs more prominent over them. If it wasn't for this move having relatively high landing lag, then up air would be extremely dangerous overall. And that's fine. It doesn't need reduced landing lag, as that would cause imbalance to the attack. An appreciative change is very slight end lag reduction, simply to improve up air's ability to juggle or true combo into other aerials for variant pyramid combo extensions. The 1 frame end lag reduction would also allow a new result from buffering a short hop up air into down air. Not just one, but both hits would now connect on block or on hit before immediately landing the next frame after. Base Lucario's down air wouldn't be -15 on block, but somewhere around -10, since both hits would connect on their shield. Although, the advancing short hop up air only hits a select few characters neutral shielding with full HP, being the big boys you see on the screen now. But what's truly necessary for up air to have in a form of stronger viability without being overtuned is a hitbox activity increase to the late window. With this improvement as a return, connecting a late hitbox upon landing or following up with timing after a juggle will no longer feel like an impossible feat, but rather a resurgence of options Lucario can access again. Not to say that one can't land with up air sour, but it's definitely more difficult than you would think. Plus, when they reduced the late window coming ultimate, it basically weeded out the thought to use up air for these kinds of applications again. Stomping the floor with Aura Burst! Down air is most notorious for being Lucario's fastest option out of shield. While it is a frame 7 option when accounting for jump squat frames, the other reasons this attack is so good includes halting the momentum after double teams counterattack to help avoid dying without wasting your jump, top tier frame data out of shield, albeit very short ranged, cancelling ledge jumps ascension or ledge dropping double jumping to stage, or sphere charge combos, edge guarding in 2 framing, gimping off stage, stalling your fall, promoting landing mix-ups, as well as contesting juggles from below, airwalking, shield mix-ups followed after rising forward air, platform landing applications, and creating tech chases from 80% and at any aura phase. Having so many strong points, you might be wondering, why does this move need anything? Frankly, a slight reduction to the ledge grab window clearly isn't necessary, but it would be neat. Whereas between the other two, total frames reduced by 5 would mean a great deal of things, such as more temporary stalling in the air, but multiple buffered down airs causing Lucario to descend more quickly, stronger edge guarding and gimping ability off stage, and stronger shield pressure with force palm grab opportunities before landing. Also, base Aura's distant shield pressure with hit 2 of short hopped down air is currently -16 on block before Lucario can act. The reduction would make this scenario for Lucario be -11, though as appreciative as end lag reduction would be for strengthening down air's usage in the air, landing lag reduction is honestly needed more. Reducing landing lag impacts it greatly in just a few situations, but they'd remedy the move's design flaws. These instances are platform landings with down air 1 linking into force palm grab, down air 1 into whipped down air 2 regardless of aura and the opponent's current damage meter, and low aura combo ability after short hop down air. To explain these, your platform landings have to be amazing if you want to confirm force palm grab at all, regardless of spot dodge mashes. Down air 1 will induce hit stun, which creates your opponent's hurt box shifting too. That is why it can flub, why it fails to connect into the second hit, and why it suffers for being stuffed when this particular hitbox connects, which, by the way, is all the time when you short hop down air next to someone. And combos improve, including things like dash attack, dash in grab, or dash in short hop forward air. Buffered short hop down air is currently 26 total frames before acting. On block and at 0% aura, they go from being -10 to -5. So 65% base goes down to -4, and 190% max goes down to -3. Other scenarios like catching 2 frames or ledge hangs causes fired aura spheres to become more threatening, and more reason that Lucario's terrifying off stage too. But even though this sounds hazardous, Lucario's down air is one of the few aerials that gained more landing lag when crossing over from 4 into ultimate. The bottom line is, most characters have to land perfectly to get disadvantage values like Lucario's buffered short hop down air. That's as perfect as you can get, but you have to be hurtbox hugging close. And all this suggestion really serves to do is simply make force palm grabs confirmed consistently. Side special is cool because it is multi-purposeful. It's primarily used for the command grab, but the move actually has 3 hitboxes. One being the frame 9 command grab with its throw release, 2 being the frame 23 physical flame during the grab, which cannot be reflected, and 3 being the frame 24 projectile flame when grab doesn't connect. This scales in hitbox size with aura, as well as having sweet and sour damages based on spacing. Number 2 is rare though, because you'll only notice this when someone or something is hit during your command grab while fighting certain matchups, free-for-alls, or doubles. Also, you can technically mash out a force palm grab. You gotta be fast though. Grab clearly has the highest merit, yet due to the version 3.1.0 patch a while back and time finally settling in, it now calls for a slight grab range buff to compensate for Lucario's newfound collision box. The traits clash after all, so the command grab struggles to function, especially when trying to grab someone shielding, or rather, hurtbox shifting while they're shielding. Nevertheless, it goes without saying that the entire Lucario community and fans alike would heavily recommend this and appreciate this happening. That being said though, the flame is a poor option, until it becomes solid once you reach about 120%, because witnessing the size and hearing the sound will make you a believer. At that percent though, you're way too careful about your stock. That's why you wouldn't think about it much. Which is why I'd suggest emphasis on the flame. Increasing its activity by 1 and reducing end lag by 4 will obviously perform with more presence and confidence. This will account for landing, disengage, poking in neutral, or edge guarding aggressively. Thanks to the scaling properties, this sweet spot can hit ledge hangs and someone recovering from low, while you sit back from a safer distance than being up close with forward tilt or down air. However, Aura Sphere also works. And surely, these changes will alter the disadvantaged values on block as well as the advantage on hit. And just so you know, you don't need max aura to make it that safe. Even just 125% is enough to be negative 15. But for now, practice B-reversing or pivot a B-reverse to make a force palm flame much safer and more mindful of possible rushdown. But as much as I'd prefer flame changes, the command grab's release deserves notice. See, its true combo ability is so close to existing that options like dash in forward air, instant dash attack, or dash in late dash attack are almost amazing. You can catch somebody sleeping, but it works once before being lost forever with matchup experience. The best option is dash in and connecting a late dash attack, even though it's weaker than the early startup. This is because anyone DIing away and jumping makes dash in forward air and instant dash attack difficult if not impossible for a lot of matchups. So, reducing the release's end lag by 2 means Lucario will have more diversity. Force Palm Grab will have true combos and deal slightly more damage than from up throw or down throw at low aura versus opponents at low percent with better stage position. Even an instant dash in attack cancel back air might actually combo here too. Once the combo ranges pass, Force Palm Grab becomes standard. Compared to others, Lucario suffers the worst in gambling the risk versus reward because you have the worst grab range. The grab box is only 1 frame active. Your grab can fail to function with collision problems, which can mean you'll be very unsafe on block with the flame. And you'll need base aura before being on par. All I'm saying is Force Palm is both a grab and a projectile, which automatically makes it multi-purposeful, right? Yet, the only and most crucial asset is its raw power deleting stocks. So when you only focus on raw kill power, which is fine for most discussions, but trying to play around at death's door so you can seal stocks early is a gamble. That is, of course, unless you use Aura Sphere Charge to set up into it, which is great. Still, this change will simply make Force Palm something worth trying at low aura. Moving along, Up Special is an extremely advanced and high skill recovery move, consisting of uses that go beyond what anyone would expect. Any lack of knowledge is a liability and can cause your own loss of a stock from improper control or be punished when you don't opt for the safest ways of landing. I personally don't blame anyone struggling with this, because this move has been revamped massively for the past 10 years ever since Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Still, I recommend practicing its recovery patterns and directional influence. If you don't, then I guess you'd go see a move deleter, huh? Extreme Speed has 3 kinds of landings: the Superior Bonk, the Mighty Slide, and the Unfortunate Fall. This optional choice focuses on that slide, which is talking about doing an up B and gliding against the surface. Truthfully, total frames reduced for the grounded Extreme Speed landing is definitely not healthy, at least for this amount. Maybe with a little bit less for more moderation, but the disadvantage on block and the advantage on hit after this kind of change would be way too strong, because it doesn't go into a special freefall animation. Everything is already solid, and remember, this is an up special we're talking about. Similar to down smash, Extreme Speed has a slightly larger hitbox from behind when bonking against a surface. I'd like to see the bonking hitbox in front be enlarged so it matches the back. But for now, you want to use the backside of the bonk so that you're much safer against a defender who shields it and tries pursuing after you. Even with all this, Extreme Speed comes with a fatal flaw. It's very rare and not many know of it, but I'll say it anyway. I'm unsure if the game developers and balance team consider it intentional by now, or maybe they forgot about it and now it remains as an oversight. But as far as I'm aware, Extreme Speed is the only up special out of about 80 of them that is still currently affected by grab release exploitation. That means if you're somehow able to grab Lucario at any point in the move, then you'll render the Aura Pokemon useless with a grab release. However, the counterplay boils down to whether or not you have your resources, being Jump and Airdodge. If you have neither, then you lose. You have to pray, to be honest, that you become grounded somehow during the grab and before the release, or you get thrown so Extreme Speed refreshes. No matter if you B-reverse, pivot, have aerial acceleration, nothing you can do will save you if you lack both these resources. So if this ever happens, keep at least one of them. The saving grace is that this will probably never happen. Despite all of the fears I talk about, you have tons of ways to get back to ledge or on stage without being two-framed, let alone getting grabbed. The velocity you travel just scales way too good, and maybe someone perfect shielding the hitbox at low aura can grab you while you contest them, maybe? Most likely not. And I am so thankful for that, because I've lost stocks this way back in Brawl, and while it's never happened to me in Smash Ultimate, it is not a fun feeling. Wait! In training mode, where invincibility is a green color and intangibility is a blue color, Lucario's counter stance and attack are both intangible. However, the very first frame of the attack will differ depending on when the stance is procced. What I'm saying is, this moment here does not visually show any blue. This has made me think that the frame wasn't intangible for a long time. This is only when you counter from frames 14 to 24, because if you counter from frames 5 to 13, the counterattack's first frame looks and is intangible. I'm noting this because even though the first frame doesn't highlight Lucario's hurtbox blue, you're still intangible, even when one hitbox or more is countered simultaneously within this window. I'm hoping this gets a visual update someday. Not a big deal if it doesn't, but, hey, I'd like it. Now my appreciative yet optional choice is a reduction to the stance's ledge grab window. This will make it match perfectly with grabbing on the same frame you can act out of the in lag, which is genius, and I wished all counter stances worked like this. Disclaimer. I went with two different takes on how Pummel's in lag reduction could be handled. The first one's geared toward more of a balance around aura scaling, so that it seems more natural if this were to really happen someday. Whereas the second one's focused on my own extensive analysis based on the animations and cues I had received with everything involved. Which means I'm choosing the latter take for this section. Lastly, this is my most discussed and controversial move, so of course I'm going to spend lots of time talking about it. Moving on, Pummel aka Grab Attack is my highest recommended suggestion for future updates via patches. To my knowledge, it works like other Pummels in that they're all frame 1 of a hitbox, hit lag occurring for both parties, and then frames 2 through 6 being in lag taking place. Frame 7 is when you can act with either another Pummel, a throw, or nothing. You might be asking also, why Pummel? And well, this is why. If you've never seen this, you can find it if you select Vault, then Tips, then Fighters, then Lucario. Slide all the way down, or just tap up to reach the very bottom instantly. It will read, thanks to Aura, an injured Lucario can pull off this move more quickly, and do a lot more damage than other fighters can. Consider this. The only other tips that mention about grab attack are from Samus, Lucas, and Toonling. They'll tell you things like, it grabs foes in edges, it reaches far, it hurts them, keeps foes at bay while retreating, and you can't grab opponents in the air. There are no grab attack tips for Dark Samus, Luigi, Young Link, and Zero Suit Samus. They don't say anything about Luigi's different landing lag values with his mid-air grab attack. I don't know. So, okay, think about this. Nobody else has this kind of tip, and nobody has a mechanic as deep-rooted as Aura is to Lucario. This is a fact. So, this is serious, huh? Okay, that's pretty cool, I guess. I suppose I'll add this and... wait. What? An injured Lucario pulls off this move faster? No, it doesn't. This tip entry is basically lying to me and everyone else. Do other fighter tips lie to their player base this way? Okay, I mean, alright, so technically, an injured Lucario does more damage, naturally, yet the pummel speed does not increase. That doesn't... that's so scummy, isn't it? I could have just ignored all this and pretend it wasn't lying to me and try convincing me of a mechanic that doesn't exist. Or maybe it's just the wording of the tip in this context. Maybe it got poorly translated, or maybe they didn't mean to narrate this tip to that degree. Maybe I'm just blowing this up, but for my sake? Let's say that this was intended but never introduced. So what would I suggest? Well, after frame analyzing Lucario extensively, I came to this conclusion based on a zero stock deficit in mind, and nothing else. I mean, it is what it is, so let's start. In this range, nothing changes because Aura doesn't change visually. Sure, it looks more aggressive and larger when you compare it at 0 versus 30 per se, but Aura resembles something like that of a candle's flame and also kinda like little flame wheels. They're slowly burning upward and dissipating away in small specks. The illuminating circular pulses of light faintly display and alternate between blue and teal colors at a relative speed. In this range, the aesthetic of Aura makes a drastic change. Examples of this being Aura around the paws flare outward, more behind Lucario. Flames growing larger and are in more colors like white, light blue, blue, and dark blue. And circular pulses of light compress slightly, having a lighter teal color and occurring at a more rapid pace. This analysis alone was easily enough for me to choose reducing Pummel's end lag by 1 once this range is met. Off topic! At 65.06%, yes, you heard that right. All 4 special moves get a slightly stronger sound effect within their attack animations. Even if base Aura is met, I don't suggest a Pummel buff here. In case nobody noticed, those 4 appendages, dreads, steadily rise as Aura grows. They start moving at around 32.98%, and they'll eventually cap at around, say, 136%. Which is kind of a shame, because I wish they'd ascend higher. Cause I mean, they're kind of scary now, but it'd be so terrifying if they did, you know? Just imagine what 190% could look like. Do you all remember the Lucario and Mystery of Mew movie? Remember those moments Lucario sensed the surroundings while flaring up those dreads? That would make me feel like I'm facing off against a King Cobra. It would be such an amazing aesthetic buff for sure. Anywho, in this range, the cosmetics of Aura massively transforms once again. Examples now being Aura violently growing, Yellow aura finally appearing, now alternating colors in order from white, yellow, light blue, blue, dark blue, and purple before dissipating. This is a constant cycle, and all of the colors emit from either the paws or around Lucario's arms. The large spikes on the paws start to glow brightly, pulsing and dimming in a fixed pattern. The light's color that illuminates from Lucario's aura changes from a blue to more of an indigo. And freaking electricity appears, constantly surrounding Lucario's aura and body. Basically, this game's telling me that Lucario becomes a furry Super Saiyan 2 starting at 93%. And in case you didn't know, Goku's voice actor also voices Lucario in this game. That is definitely intentional, and I heavily appreciated the reference once I learned of this visual cue for the first time. And so, everything about this is why I decided to make Pummel's end lag be reduced by 2 once this range was met. Within this final range, another sound difference is eventually unlocked when reaching 117.08% or higher. If you couldn't tell the difference before, you'll definitely catch it because everything becomes obvious. The sounds that all 4 specials make get a severe tune-up. Fearsomeness and raw intimidation definitely boost these attack animations. No doubt in my mind that they are the sound of someone's doom. I mean, have you ever heard Aurasphere charging make this sound? Due to this extreme sound difference, I ultimately opted for Pummel's final end lag reduction by 3 to be achieved once the final range was met. If you personally don't agree, that's fine. But go ahead and leave me an idea of yours in the comments. I'm curious. These are also some changes I wrote down that I happened to notice, so I'll leave all of this up for you all to pause if you want to. It's up to you. Final thoughts? I have to admit, the final end lag reduction is suggested a little early. After all, the major aura visuals happen around 33% and 93% respectively. Base aura is 65%, and the sound difference? Technically 65.06%. And really, 4 frames of reduction or more sounded really disgusting, at least to me, so I thought that a scaling cap of a 3-frame reduction was more fitting. Honestly, I really hope the developers and balance team has this interest to integrate some sort of idea like the one I had in this video. And if they happen to take it, more power to them, I really don't mind. Aura's never done something this unique since Brawl, where in that game, some of your moveset slightly increased in size the higher Aura rose. Most prominently was F-Smash, for example. Naturally, Aurasphere and Force Palm's Flame now get the treatment, of course, but this Pummel suggestion though, I really hope it happens. Or they should just remove this tip in case Pummel is never addressed. Finishing this off, down throw is the final entry. In case we were already aware, or have become aware after watching up till now, Lucario's moveset is mediocre if not subpar without the involvement of the aura mechanic. Unfortunately, down throw is one of Lucario's worst moves by far. Its main problem is that it doesn't serve any primary function like the other throws do, because down throw makes it very hard for the player to utilize it often, if at all. At first, most people will use it for comboing at low percent without being aware that it's an inferior up throw. Eventually, learning and knowing better makes it undeniable that up throw trumps it in almost every statistic in almost every situation. Those stats including higher base damage, launch power, hit stun, and the launch angle. Fun fact, you have to scale up throw 5 times before down throw deals more damage. The hit stun of your throws don't stale when spamming them, so when you exclusively up throw for combos consecutively up to, say, 2 to 4 times, that means down throw no longer combos into anything. The only hidden gem is its combination of having high base knockback and relatively low knockback scaling, which all that means is when you down throw someone at mid to higher percents, they'll be put in a more threatening position and will likely expend more of their resources and disadvantage rather than if they were up thrown instead. After all, up throw could kill or just launch them too high. This situation alone is really the only time down throw shines for Lucario. But then, you could also just throw them off stage to either hunt and seal their stock, or just ledge trap and find openings that can lead to taking their stock anyway. Otherwise, the hit stun, end lag, and its lower launch angle all clash with each other too much to really consider it as Lucario's combo throw. At the very least, it can still function with low aura and with them at low percent. It just doesn't retain that reliability if per se you have too much aura accumulated, despite that they'd be at low percent too. With the 5-frame end lag reduction, down throw would become a massively improved combo throw. So much so that down throw would undertake that primary role no matter the current percent of aura. Even at max versus their low percent, or maybe even mid percent, you could theoretically true combo into an up air or forward air from just a full hop. More possibilities would also open up for this too, such as one being able to back air at mid percents with base aura. And that's just one example atop of the many that could be possible. And that will conclude this video. I've actually been working on this video off and on for basically over a year and more. This could have been 3 minutes if I just listed my suggestions and nothing else, but that's just not how I do. To end this off, I actually do not believe Lucario is low tier, as surprising as that sounds. Nor is the character top or high tier. It's because of Lucario's aura mechanic having a better early scaling up till 65% base, and not scaling as well to max aura like in previous games, that the character has gone down from high tier to mid tier. Probably the lower end of mid tier if I were to be honest. The mixed bag of buffs and nerfs gave and took away a lot, which is why no matter how bad my video made Lucario's moveset look today, aura as it is now in Ultimate will always prevent Lucario from being low tier, but also from ever being high, let alone top tier. There were other suggestions that I had for this video when it came to Lucario's attributes, but I wanted to just talk about the moveset, because after all, balancing a character like Lucario is definitely not easy, and that's mainly why I feel that the Pokemon has been neglected for so long. Anyway, if you watched this, thank you to the max. This video marks as my Lucario wishlist permanently, until this game ceases, so if for now, I'll be hyped for Steve and the balance patch coming October 14th. All I can tell you all now is to keep it on, no matter what.